Good morning, Sully. How are you doing today?
You know how McGarry gets when he gets 2 Diet Cokes in?
I can't believe that a guy would polish 2 Diet Cokes off at this hour. But,
I was thinking the same thing, man. I wouldn't want to be. I mean, I don't drink coffee or anything. I just kind of wake up and go. But
that's me as well. So I don't, but it is what it is, as they say these days. So that's all right.
So tell us what's going on in SJVarsity.com land.
Well, we're all over the place, and I'm guessing, you spoke with Mike, I'm sure, about last night's game with St. Augustine and Millville, and really a great football game from start to finish. And, E.J. Nichols directs a 92-yard drive to win the game for Millville after St. Augustine had come back from being down, I believe it was 19-10. So a very entertaining game. I think, Millville showed its ability to face some adversity and come back, and St. Augustine had a chance at the end. Even with the 25 seconds left, they had thrown a ball that was just out of the reach of the receiver, and if he had hauled it in, it would have been 6. So, a very, very good football game. I think a lot of players really kind of emerged from both sides as being guys that would definitely keep your eye on during the course of the season. And it was just a highly entertaining game and a great way to start out the weekend.
Kevin, what were you thinking when Millville had the ball and they were trailing there with about 4 minutes to go on their own 8-yard line? Were you thinking they had what it would take to make that comeback? Well,
I don't know if I actually thought that specifically, but I thought that's an awful lot of time, and if they could move the ball a little bit, they were. I think they look in hindsight, I think they had a chance to put something together because there was so much time left. And they got the thing with Millville is they have playmakers, and even St. Augustine coach Pete Lancetta had focused on a little bit after the game that they spread you out, and they spread you out so much, and then not only do they spread you out, but they can run the football. So Clayton Scott did an outstanding job of running the ball last night. E.J. Nichols, I was really impressed, and I led with it last night in my story, and that I think he's emerged as their quarterback now, and he does so many things back there from an athletics perspective that I think he's the guy. And no disrespect to Tristan Harris, but I think Nichols has kind of emerged as being the guy. And he threw I believe he went 6 of 8 for 88 yards in that final drive. He threw a couple of real nice passes, hit Carlton Lawrence for 39 yards on one play on a real nice pass to the outside. And as they start marching down the field, momentum's growing, and there's still plenty of time left. So they remain, they stayed together. They were poised down the stretch, and Clayton Scott talked his coach into changing the play for the what proved to be the game-winning touchdown, because, as Dennis Thomas says, he listens to leaders, and he thinks Clayton Scott is a natural leader. Not that he listens to leaders all the time, especially those who are his players, but Clayton obviously thought he could get the job done on that one play, and they executed it to perfection. So, Millville showed a lot last night. St. Augustine showed a lot of heart last night, especially in the way they came back. And, I think, like I said again, a very, very entertaining football game.
Yeah, I guess it's really going to make it tough for the rankings that some of you guys do. We're starting to see some really outstanding teams sort of come to the forefront. Teams like Millville, Timber Creek, even a squad like Shawnee with a real nice win last night, 19-6 at Washington Township. That's not an easy place to go and get a road win.
Well, I think with you look at the teams at the top, like you mentioned, Shawnee. You look at a team like a Lenape team, 49-0 again, not giving up a point over Burlington Township last night. And you look at the top tier teams, and I think after 3 weeks, I think we can pretty much take a look at the top tier teams, and there's not a lot of teams. There's not a lot of separation between the top teams. You have to put, when you do rankings, you throw in 1 to 20, 1 to 15, 10, whatever you may be doing. And, right now, I don't know if there's that much separation between, say, the first 5 or 6 teams. And, every team maybe does something a little bit different than the other. and every team, has its unique things, and it's kids that are making plays, and I wouldn't get too wrapped up in the rankings if I was out there observing what's going on, because it's something that we do, it's something that people like to see, and it generates interest. But I think 1 through 5 right now maybe would be a great scenario. Even if it was 1 through 4 and we had a little South Jersey national playoff games or something like that, it'll be really good, and the thing is, a lot of these teams will not play each other, so
right.
You kind of look at it that way, and you pick your poison, you drop them in where you think they fall, and you move on. But South Jersey football is extremely strong, and the top teams are out there showing it.
Yeah, Kevin, you think Lenape's sitting back and saying, "Hey, we're sick of Timber Creek getting all the press"?
You know what? I think maybe there's some people that might be thinking that way, and but I really think when they get down to it, they really don't care. It doesn't matter to a Lenape football team whether they're making they're in the headlines each week or not. They are going out and going about their business, and then they're playing tremendous defense. I think they may be the best defensive team in South Jersey, and their goal is to win a championship, and they are moved up into South Jersey 5 this year, and they're gonna have their chance to show themselves. They won their first 11 games last season before running into Timber Creek in the 4 championship game last year, and I think Creek's in 3 this year, and Lenape's up in 5. It kind of opens up 4 for somebody else, I guess, but right now, when you look at the football teams that are out there, there's a lot of very, very good teams that I think, you can probably pencil in right now. They're going to be playing at Rowan in early December.
Kevin, did I hear that right, that Lenape hasn't given up a point yet this season?
6.
Oh, 6, okay.
They've given up 6 points, this season. They've had back-to-back shutouts, and in those shutouts, they've scored 90-some points. You go back and look at their record and what they've done over the past 2 or 3 seasons, and, more games than not, they've given up 6 points or less. There's been games, I think last year against Timber Creek in the final was the game that they gave up the most points all season, but they just played tremendous defense. The line is extremely aggressive. Tim McEnany has that team prepared week in and week out, and they're doing the things that, it's necessary to win. And, to look ahead just a tad bit, they have RV in 2 weeks, and that's going to be a game which will probably determine the division champion and in the Capital Division. And, Lenape's just on a roll right now, and they're scoring points. They're getting things done. JoJo Kellum's really running the football effectively. I think he's kind of been under the radar this year so far, but he's a very talented back with a couple of college offers, and Matt LaJoy does a nice job of directing the offense. So I think Lenape is obviously a team you've got to keep an eye on, and like I said, that game, I believe it's October 6th at Lenape, will really be able to to tell you if this Lenape team is absolutely for real.
Talking with Kevin Minnick of SJVarsity.com. And, Kevin, a team that's really intriguing to me is West Deptford. They lost a lot of guys from those back-to-back South Jersey Group 2 title game appearances. And I think a lot of people thought maybe they'd take a step back this year, but huge win last night, 48-14 over Overbrook, and it looks like they're kind of on a mission to say, hey, we're still the top dog in Group 2.
I think we've mentioned it before, but if you want to win 2, you're going through West Deptford, and they are a little bit of a different team this year. Last year they had 3 running backs, Gio Gismondi, along with Kenny Lim and Anthony Sees, all were all 1,000-yard rushers, and that was a team that rushed the ball for nearly 400 yards a game, and that was their MO. This year is a little bit different, even though in the last 2 games they've gone back to the running game, and Kenny Lim kind of leading the way there. Another kid by the name of TJ Hoyt stepping in too, and they've got a quarterback in Pete Oreo who can throw the ball a little bit. I know he threw the ball for 100 and some yards in the first game, which was probably more yards in one game than he threw all last season. But people look at West Deptford this year and kind of think, like you said, well, maybe they're not going to be the same kind of team. Are they as strong? they lost those two other really top backs, and West Deptford continues to run the football, and they've demonstrated that they're going to stick with that. And it's it's the next guy in line. It's the guy who's kind of waited his turn and his chance to come in and play. And the seniors are gone from last year, and that's happening. They lost a ton of seniors off last year's team. I want to say about 20, and they've just filled in the holes, filled in the gaps, and they're going about their business. So in 2 right now, yes, I think West Deptford is the team you look at, and to win a championship, you're going to have to knock them off.
Kevin, real quick before we let you go, I know we're only 3 weeks into the season. Anybody really surprising you in terms of, hey, I didn't think this team was going to be 3-0 or 2-1, something like that?
I think if there is one team right now that really just popped into my head, it might be Morristown. Morristown's 3-0 now. They knocked off Highland last night. That's a really nice win for Morristown to now be 3-0. And I don't think we really thought that they were capable of being undefeated after 3 weeks. So if there is one team out there right now, without going down the list and checking them all off, I think Morristown is one. And we'll see if they can keep things going.
Good stuff as always, Kevin. We appreciate the time, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Hey, I appreciate it. Anytime. Thanks again.
That was Kevin Minnick of SJVarsity.com. Check out his new website. Get on there, subscribe. He does some great work with high school sports in South Jersey.